Imagine waking up tomorrow as a medieval king. Your kingdom stretches across fertile land, your knights are the finest in Europe, your castle has never been breached. And then your scouts ride back in a panic. On the horizon, something impossible. Thousands of soldiers in strange armor. Metal beasts that move without horses. Iron birds that hang in the sky. A modern military force has just appeared on the edge of your kingdom, and they are not here to negotiate. The first encounter would not even be a battle. It would be a panic. Medieval Europeans had never heard an engine, never seen a vehicle, never encountered anything louder than a thunderstorm or a cathedral bell. The sound alone of a tank column would cause mass hysteria. Horses would bolt. Villagers would assume it was the apocalypse. Priests would declare it the work of demons. Before a single shot was fired, entire towns would empty. The psychological warfare would be total, and it would be completely unintentional. Eventually, a king would gather his courage and send his best knights. A full cavalry charge. 500 armored horsemen thundering across an open field, lances lowered, banners flying. It would have been terrifying to any medieval army. Against a modern force, it would last about 40 seconds. A single platoon with automatic weapons could stop the entire charge before it crossed half the field. The knights would not understand what was killing them. No arrows. No catapult stones. Just invisible death from a distance they could not comprehend. The age of the armored knight would end in a single afternoon. Medieval castles were engineering marvels, walls 15 feet thick. Moats, drawbridges, murder holes, boiling oil. A medieval siege could last months or even years. A modern force would not bother with a siege. A single javelin missile could punch through any castle wall ever built. An airstrike could level a tower in seconds. The entire defensive strategy that Europe had built over centuries, the thing that shaped politics, warfare, and architecture for 500 years, would become obsolete before lunch on day one. Here is where it gets complicated. Medieval Europe was deeply religious. The church controlled not just faith but politics, law, and the interpretation of reality. A modern army would not just be an enemy, it would be a theological crisis. Are these invaders demons sent by Satan? Angels sent by God? Sorcerers wielding unholy power? The Pope would have to issue a declaration. Crusades would be called. Holy water would be thrown at tanks. And when none of it worked, the crisis of faith could shatter the Church's authority faster than the Protestant Reformation ever did. Conquering medieval Europe would take weeks. Holding it would take decades. A modern army has overwhelming firepower but limited manpower. You cannot garrison every village, patrol every forest road, or guard every bridge on a continent. Medieval Europeans knew their land. They knew every cave, every hidden trail, every river crossing. Guerrilla resistance would begin immediately. Crossbow ambushes, poisoned wells, bridges burned at night. The same tactics that plagued Roman legions and would later plague every modern occupation from Vietnam to Afghanistan. Superior technology does not guarantee control. It never has. Even if the modern army eventually withdrew or was absorbed, the knowledge left behind would accelerate history by centuries. A single medical textbook would save millions of lives. The concept of germ theory alone would transform medieval hospitals from death traps into places of healing. Gunpowder, which took centuries to reach Europe from China, would arrive overnight. The printing press, steam power, basic electricity, the ideas that took humanity 500 years to develop would be dumped into medieval society all at once. The Renaissance would not happen in the 1400s. It would happen tomorrow. The real question is not whether a modern army could conquer medieval Europe. Of course it could. The real question is what happens next. You have introduced technology that no one understands into a society that is not ready for it. You have shattered every power structure, every belief system, every military strategy that existed. The church is in crisis. The feudal system is collapsing. Kings who cooperate with the invaders gain power. Kings who resist are destroyed. Within a generation, medieval Europe would not look medieval anymore. But it would not look modern either. It would be something entirely new, a world that jumped 500 years into the future overnight, with all the chaos and possibility that implies. This thought experiment is not really about military power. It is about the fragility of civilization. Every society, no matter how powerful it feels, is only one technological leap away from irrelevance. The medieval world was not stupid. It was sophisticated, complex, and deeply human. But against a force 500 years more advanced, none of that mattered. And if that thought makes you uncomfortable, good. Because somewhere out there, the next technological leap is already being built. And the question is not whether it will change everything. The question is whether we will be the knights or the ones holding the rifles.